Hi. Back there, I was just thinking, what does dubious mean? I'm going to look that up after this. Hi, I'm Harrison Zach. Thank you so much. That was really special. Uh, I'm Harrison Cramer. First and foremost, I am someone who has profoundly experienced God's kindness in my life, typically through people and community. I now get to be the associate campus minister here at NMC. I work alongside Pat. This is my first year as a full-time His House staff member. But just a couple years ago, I was a college student at Western Michigan University, where Holly is about to go. We're trading places. And I knew, if I take you back 6 years when I was going to Western, I knew I wanted to join a Christian community. And confusingly, in my pride, I thought whatever Christian group gets me is going to be really lucky, because I am just pretty great, you know? So I was looking around, and I decided to bless this group called His House at Western, bless them with myself, my presence. And I was only halfway through my freshman year before my spiritual life shattered into complete shambles. I became depressed. I had the absolute worst ideas about who I actually was. And this His House group that was so lucky to have me picked up the pieces of what was left of me and gently, patiently, kindly put me back together. And God would use His House and my time there to heal perhaps my deepest internal wounds and show me who He truly is. Similar to the stories you guys already heard, I grew up in a Christian family, amazing family. I hope you guys can meet them. Some of them are right here. But there's something about God expressing Himself through community, granting permission to wrestle, be vulnerable, ask questions, that just opens the door for all types of healing. And that was my experience at His House in Kalamazoo. When I finished that up, the staff there asked if I wanted to intern with them, and I said yes. One of the reasons was because I didn't really have much of a plan, so I thought just staying there, that sounds kind of cool. I had no intention of coming on full-time staff with His House. But after that year, I decided to come on full-time staff with His House, and over the summer moved from Kalamazoo to Traverse City, and now just finishing up my first academic year serving here with Pat. And I want to tell you a little bit more about my year here, but I also want to give a tiny bit of an overview of what we do, and you've heard bits and pieces, but our MO for the year has been connect with God and connect with each other. We connect with God through His Word, through God, how God expresses Himself through community, and by engaging in listening practices. We come together and we sit in silence over a question or a prompt or a passage, and we discuss with each other what we think God is speaking to us. And then when we have the discussion, we ask, does this track with our experience of God? Does it track with how the Bible describes God? And through that, we start to get to know what God is actually like, what things we can continue to hold on to, and what things need to be let go of. You've heard a lot of talk about grace. That has been a huge theme this year for all of us. We also do this thing called check-in, where we check in with each other emotionally. And if I were to do it with you right now, I would say what I'm feeling, and then as much as I'm comfortable with, I tell you why I'm feeling that way. And then I would get to choose how you respond. I would say you can listen, you can pray for me, you can give advice, but you need to respect what what I am choosing for how you guys can be helpful for me. And that has been, I only mention those because that is our expression of how we're connecting with God, connecting with others, and it's been a huge part of all our small groups. So yeah, we have men's and women's groups. We have house church, which is like a worship night, and then either Pat and I will share a teaching from Scripture. We've been focusing on conversations with God, seeing how he has interacted with his people throughout history to help us know how he interacts with us today. So that's a little overview of kind of what his house has been like this year. And my personal experience this year being in a new place has meant getting used to new things. This is a new place for me, a new campus, a new staff relationship with Pat. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out campus, engaging students, and working closely with Pat. And there's been a lot to adjust to, a lot of challenges. But deep down, there's been just this unwavering confidence to just be here and just do the work and engage. And the only times I've ever second-guessed my decision are when we're playing Spicy Uno for the 1,000th time. I'm like, is this game that good? Yeah. That's my personal opinion. Don't let me change your mind about that. Fair enough. God has taught me a lot since I've been here. He's taught me that NMC is special and unlike other campuses that his house is at. He's taught me that he desires to use my giftings, my interests, and my passions to connect with people. I think of how I met Tyler in a philosophy class because philosophy is interesting to me. I met Ty through basketball. I like basketball. There's just so many stories like that. He has taught me that students appreciate and respect vulnerability. I think vulnerability adds a type of validity and trust to what you're inviting people into. He's taught me that he absolutely answers prayers. And one of the primary ways God has worked in my life this year is through Pat, who if you guys don't know him, you'll get to meet him in a second. When I got here, Pat told me this NMC is different than Western. In many ways, we're kind of going to be building things from the ground up. And I knew it'd be a challenge, and I thought, all right, let's go. Let's do it. What I didn't know is that Pat has the ability to plan, prep, and talk about ideas for 5 hours straight. And I have the ability to do that for 27 minutes straight. But God has absolutely used these differences to grow me, grow my skill set. And that's not mentioning all the ways that Pat has equipped me to help our students just understand how it is that God speaks to us. Does he speak through guilt and shame? Or does he speak in other ways? Does he invite us into healing first? Does he invite us into a response and grace? And line that up with the word. What are the stories? What are the conversations he has with his people that we can ground that on? And so for me personally, this year has been one of becoming healed and knowing Jesus more than I ever had before. And I am so thankful for that. I'm so thankful I get to be here working with his house, working with all these awesome students. And worship team, you guys can make your way up here. I figured while they're getting up here, I'll just share a quick story to give you a little bit of an idea of one of the ways that God just chooses to work on campus sometimes. Me and Pat were, and some students were helping us. We were a part of something called Pine Palooza, where all the student groups set up a table, and the students have an opportunity to walk around and see what are all the things they can be a part of. And when that finished up, we were loading things in the car, and Pat and I were sitting on a picnic table, wiped out from a long day. And there were these two guys playing basketball on the court, and one of them was this guy named Ty, and he asked me, hey, do you guys want to come play? No, you asked, do you guys play basketball? And Pat pointed to me and said, he does. Apparently, Pat does not. There'll be many more opportunities, though. I'd love to. Yeah. And so I started playing basketball with Ty and Jaron, and getting to know Ty, I found out he's studying audio tech. I studied audio tech at Western. I found out Ty had a passion for hip-hop music. I had a passion for making hip-hop music. And it became really clear, like, God put us on this basketball court. And God put Jaron there too. And there was this really weird situation where all of a sudden more people started to join, and all of us, all of whom I'd met for the first time that day, and we were all going around sharing our beliefs in God and basically our life stories. And I was like, why is this happening? Why are they doing this? And it's just ministry has reminded me that God will do what he wants to do. And we can decide whether or not that's something we want to be a part of, and more importantly, something we want to rest in and trust him with. And so knowing Jesus better than I had before, being healed by him, resting in him and his ability to work, and when he chooses to work, has been huge this year. That's enough for me. This is the worship team. They're going to lead us through a couple of songs. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.